Welcome to the Voice of the Coast. I am your host, Danica. Along with me, we have Beverly Domengeaux, who is the Executive Director with St. Mary Council on Aging. It's been, I think, a few months since you and I have
It
had an
has.
actual sit-down interview.
We've all been busy.
Very much, very, very busy. And you are the lady that's at every meeting around St.
Try.
Mary Parish. And actually, the last time we saw each other, it was at a town hall meeting.
Right.
And I want to actually kind of bring that up because you kind of were thrown in there a little bit about they started talking about home delivered meals for senior citizens.
Right.
And that is actually what you do with
Right.
the three of your sites. You have one in Morgan City, Patterson, and Franklin.
Right.
However, we were located on the west end, which consists of Sorrell, Four Corners, and those smaller communities on that end.
Right.
And you don't actually provide services because of just the financial constraints. But there are some remedies, I
Right.
guess, that you're working on to get that started. You
Right.
couldn't talk then, but can you talk now about that?
Yes, I can. Number one, because we're under a federal program, I have certain criteria that I have to meet. And the number one was to have a safe place to re-prepare the meals. And because the meals are brought from Lafayette, they're catered by Lafayette, and we repackage them and then deliver them to the seniors. So Mr. Grimm and I have been talking about utilizing the kitchen at the West St. Mary, okay? Because we're in the last, well, our fiscal year ends June the 30th and starts. We've had some new rules, and I've had to renegotiate some of my contracts. And also, we're looking, before I commit to delivering the meals, I got to have people that will deliver them. And so we are looking for people to work that live in that area, that are willing to work in that area, because it cuts down, and they know the area because it is kind of hard to get around out there.
Right.
So we have a number that we have to guarantee to the caterer. And so that means that I have to do all the paperwork before we can even, and that's what Mr. Grimm and I have been working on. And we have, I think we have enough referrals now that we can go out and do the assessment, which is the first step. And after that, and I'm hoping that I can find drivers that will deliver the meals, that because there is a big need on that end, okay? And we used to be out there, but we were in a building from the Catholic Church, and the health department closed it down. So we had to pull out until we could find something else. And I think we can work out of the West St. Mary. They also, we're working on having at least a monthly dinner there at the center, and so that the people that get around work and would have a little something to the seniors.
Right. So when you mention Reverend Grimm, Reverend Donald Grimm is actually the director
Yes.
over at West St. Mary's Civic Center, and you've been in conversation with him for
Right.
some time. I know the summer's coming up. Do you think it'll be up during the summertime?
Well, we're shooting right now because with my new fiscal year starts July, okay? If I can get employees and if I can get the assessments done, my starting date would be in August. But it's going to depend on the human element, because I have to have workers. They have to be trained before I can turn them loose to do what they're supposed to do. So that's the big holdup, is getting employees, because I know there's a big enough need out there that we could take care of them. So I need at least 3 drivers, and then I need what we call the site aide, which would be stationed there, that would be in charge of it. So it'll take time, okay? You got to jump through a lot of hoops to meet the federal regulations.
Isn't that what government is?
No.
It's a lot of red tape that you have to go through.
And they want to promise everybody these services, but they don't want to give the money to support them. So that also means I have to raise some extra money to be sure that we can cover that.
Yes, and we're
area.
going to talk about money.
Yeah,
Money is kind of a big to do,
yeah.
particularly when we talk about parish budget cuts. That has been the talk of the
Oh, yeah.
town, especially what's been going on at the top and how it, trickled down to a lot of the other organizations and community organizations that are out there that are funded by the parish. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So come on back right here on The Voice of the Coast with yours truly.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome back to The Voice of the Coast. Let's get right back into it. My guest is Executive Director with St. Mary Council on Aging, Beverly Domengeaux. We talked about, we kind of led off with budget cuts. That has been kind of the big to do on the parish side because they're having their own debacle when it comes to balancing the budget. And so to do that, they've had to cut some funding to a lot of the organizations, such as
Right.
Council on Aging. But as I was talking to you about it, you kind of kept a smile on your face because, they kind of slashed your budget in half, but why are you still smiling? And then you're shrugging your shoulders.
Well,
What's that
number
about?
one, at my age, we know the government likes to give, but the government likes to take back too. So we always have a plan, or I always have a plan in my budget. And we do have a good rapport with several of the foundations around the area, some private donors that don't want to be, but they will give if when I lay it out to them. And, I like to say we get out and hustle for it. We don't wait for somebody to give it to us, okay? Yes, we do ask for a little donation for the people that get the meals, but we don't, that doesn't count for too much, okay? Those that can do. We are receiving a lot from family members elsewhere that live elsewhere that find out that we're taking care of their loved ones here, and they send me a monthly check. I mean, it's just really. There's been several gentlemen that work for oil companies, and they have payroll deductions, and they can say it goes to a certain. They've said it comes to the council on aging because we're taking care of their grandfather. Okay, so it when they talk about cuts, okay, it. I grew up World War II, okay, and all. All right, we had to cut a lot, and you learn that there are things, there are ways that you can raise the money, and I mean it may be just like maybe a $50,000 grant from Walmart, something like that. So I write them, and I've been very successful with that. So it's. I don't want to say that the parish isn't doing their part because they are, okay, because they do furnish us a building in Morgan City. But there again, I guess growing up in the generation I grew up in, you always have to have as we used to call it, a rumble seat. So we financially, right now, we're stretching it a little bit because we are going over budget.
My also even you're making up, you're trying to fill in the gaps, but I think it's hitting everybody,
It
and
is.
that's food costs, the expenses for food, and a lot of what you do is you have the home delivered meals, and also the seniors, the clients who are at the actual senior centers,
Right.
they participate by eating and doing a lot of the activities at that location, so you have to feed them. Are you finding that to be an issue, the food prices?
The food prices, yes, and just like okay, we open up early, and a lot of our people they get up early and they like to come and they like to have a couple of cups of coffee and they like to have a little snack
Pastry
to
or
go
something,
along
yeah.
with it, and coffee has just gone up, okay, and it was so cute because at one of our sites, one of the men said, I feel bad not paying for my coffee, so I'm going to start put. Well, we noticed that everybody started putting maybe a quarter, a dime, or whatever, and then that helps with the coffee costs.
Yes.
But they feel like they're doing something. They want to. our generation isn't really one that wants things free. They kind of always wanted to pay for themselves, even though it wasn't the full cost. So,
Right, gotcha. I actually want to talk a little bit about something good now, and
okay.
I've noticed with the activities. Um, I volunteer at the Tesh Theater, and they came over for a senior. I mean, sorry, the Silver Screen Classics,
Right.
and they had a ball. But in addition to that, they also were they remarked about an outing that they went to.
Right.
We'll talk a little bit more about what are some of the things you're able to do now. Because I think sometimes people think that you just sit at the senior center and you just color. That's not what you do. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Come on back. We've got much more to cover right here on The Voice of the Coast. Welcome back to The Voice of the Coast. Let's get right back into it. We talked about the senior activities, and you guys are really doing some things. You're going places. Kind of tell us a little bit about what are some of the latest activities that you've been a part of.
Well, the first one we did was for Senior Day at the Capitol. I took a busload of seniors, 37 of them, to the Capitol, and Senator Allen was our host, and he was so gracious and took us on a tour of the Capitol. And we even got to go into the Senate chambers, and some of my people got to sit in the chairs like they were really a senator. And we had a great time. And then we went to the Queen, which is a local casino, and we had lunch on the Mississippi. And they had a ball. And half of my people on the bus had never been to Baton Rouge or been to the Capitol. Wow. So it was a learning experience for them. We're My goal is this year is to have at least one outside activity a month where we take them someplace. And like yesterday we took them to Bayou Bend Wellness Center. They heard an excellent speaker about stroke prevention, and then they did a tour of the wellness center, and got all enthused, okay? And now they're trying to figure out how they can join, and we'll cover that. And then, of course, we brought them down and had the movie, which I hadn't heard them laugh that much in days. And some of the other trips we are planning is we're going to go to Kemper Williams Park for the day, have a picnic, and Mr. Rink is going to show us how to play horseshoes. Okay. Then we're going to, another one is we want to go to Sycamore Point to see the new, how they built the
new cabins,
and everything, because
itself.
they haven't been out there. So
I have a question for you, because I mean, this sounds great. Like at this point, I want to join.
Okay.
How does one join? Or do you have availability openings?
You have to be 60 years of age, okay? And any of our senior centers, you just go and say, I want to join, fill out the assessment, and I approve the assessment, and then oh, I forgot, I got to get, okay. Our Morgan City, they're into the plants, and we're going to start, they got some of the cutest plants made up and all kinds of little decorative things, and we're going to start going to all of the local monthly things that they have, like the Bayou to Maine, Under the Bridge and all, and that's going to be fundraisers, so that because they wanted to get into something and watch it grow. And we also, for cleanup day for the state, all three of my sites, I told them just to clean up around the site. Well, they cleaned up the whole blocks.
Oh, great.
And they're still cleaning up. Every time they see something, they go. But it gives them exercise and everything. And so, my goal is to get them out and about, okay?
And I can attest to that. I just want to say this. Actually, my husband and I were at the Franklin site not too long ago, and I had to go back the next day. And as I was going back, they were not really marching, but they were exercising around the
Exercise,
building,
yes,
and
yes.
they had music going. Again, I wanted to stay and participate because it just seemed so fun, and they were smiling, they were happy.
Yeah.
I think if you guys weren't there, we wouldn't see that type of energy or
Well,
that
it's
response.
taken 20 years to get it there
Yeah.
because when I first started, it was play bingo or nothing. Okay, they didn't even know each other. They didn't talk to each other. They didn't smile at each other, and now we're family. And it if they don't want to participate, that's fine. Okay, but I guarantee you, after watching for a few minutes, they get up and they participate. So, and they love the music, and we are planning some little activities with music.
Gotcha. Well, I have one more segment to go, and I really want to talk about hurricanes and
Sure.
transportation, things that are very pertinent to that community. So come on back. We have much more to cover right here on the Voice of the Coast. Yeah, I didn't tell you. Welcome back. We only have a short amount of time, so I want to get right to it. I have a couple of questions I want to ask you. Hurricane evacuation. What's the protocol for that? Because we're coming up on hurricane season, and we have been blessed the last couple of years not to experience a direct hit. We've been spared, but in the event that we have to at least evacuate, is there a plan in place?
Yes, we send out questionnaires to all of our clients, okay? And they tell us whether or not they have a way to evacuate. If they don't have a way to evacuate, then we turn those in to Homeland Security, and they go on to the giant list they have. We pass out to them a little brochure that says this is what you should have packed in case of. Just like I always tell them to the women, when you're pregnant and you go into the hospital, you always have that suitcase always packed. We'll pack a suitcase for a hurricane, okay? So we do that, and we try to keep up with them and keep as safe. And I put on my questionnaire, if they're going to evacuate with a family member, where are you going, and can't give us a number where we can contact and make sure that you're safe and get you back. So it's worked. We've only had to really evacuate once, I think, okay, in 20 years, okay, and they complete the questionnaire, and of course we work with Homeland Security. Jimmy does a fantastic job there, so and we will pick, if they don't have transportation, we'll pick them up and take them to the designated area where the buses are going to leave if we do have to evacuate.
Gotcha. Now, of course, yes, we had to worry about hurricanes, but we also got to worry about that blazing summer heat.
Oh, yes.
Are you going to be able to provide fans? I know typically you do a fan drive.
We're going to do a fan drive in June, and I'm already getting some phone calls from some of the municipalities and some of the local clubs that donate to us. And but we do have a thing. If you got a fan last year, you may not get a fan this year, but because we try to get them out as much as we can. So we also we try to keep a water supply of the small bottles of water, so that we make sure that if they're not able to get out, that we can get them water, because that's one of the things they really need.
Now, you have a fundraiser coming up in June, but it's every third Saturday of the month,
Yes.
and it's usually held at the Franklin site in
Right.
Franklin. And this June 15th would be the third Saturday. What you got? What you
We're
serving?
going to have brisket, white beans and rice, and a vegetable and a roll, and then of course we have the sweets table, and it's kind of to celebrate Father's Day, because I think it's before Father's Day or after
Yep, right
Father's
before,
Day. Okay,
yeah.
so that's what that's going to be, and then the one in July is going to be No, August is spaghetti. I've forgotten what July is, but anyway. But and you can pick up, or you can come in and sit in the cool and watch the football games or the baseball games or whatever I have on television at the Senior Center in Franklin. And of course, the thrift store is always open, so you can make a little visit to the thrift store.
Let's also talk about you trying to hire, and it seems like it's not really, I see you rolling your eyes, I mean, getting people in there. So at this point, you are hiring. What's the process? What do they do? Who do they contact?
Okay, I need drivers at all 3 sites so they can go to the Senior Center in Morgan City, Patterson, Franklin, get an application, fill it out. I do need a CNA. In fact, I need 2 CNAs, one on one end, one on the other. And I do need a couple of administrative positions. They come to the administration office at 613 2nd Street in Franklin.
Awesome. Thank you very much. As always, it's a pleasure. Thank you guys for sticking with us, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care. Be safe.
And if you're a senior, come see us.
There you go.